I don't know if you can hear me, but there's no audio. It's fun watching you talk, but it's even cooler when we can hear it.
This thing. Can y'all hear me now?
Now we're hearing you.
When I got it, it was that was on me.
Got it. Good.
Thank
red.
you. Okay, red means something.
Was that Ben Zuber that helped us? Thank you. I will be even more brief in my description now because I just want to get started. All right. So anyway, I'm very happy to be here today and very honored to be sharing this panel with two superstars in our market center and in our community. Both of them are people that are recognized throughout, not just because of their real estate, but who they are and the connections that they have and the lives that they touch. So, but today we're here to talk about our market center and how we are taking more listings than others and how you take listings in this market that's been so crazy and so tough. So I'm going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves because I have a tendency to, go too long in that department. But we will start with Craig and just tell us a little bit about who you are, how long you've been in real estate, and why you're glad to be here.
All right, so Greg Wilburn, been in real estate since 2002, 19 years, just had my 19-year anniversary a couple weeks ago. And, running a real estate team. So we have like 8 people that are selling real estate and some support staff and that kind of thing. And love Gainesville, love the market, and excited to talk about getting listings for sure.
All right, thank you. Lisa?
Lisa Fetrow, I've been in real estate for 11 years, former high school history and economics teacher. So that's kind of my original plan on a career and went another direction. But I think that this is a really important topic for us to talk about because if we want to win in a low inventory market, we need to control the inventory that there is. So I think that's something that's really important for us to get talking about so that it's not, it's kind of more people have the tools in order to capture those listings that are going to be coming available or people considering listing.
I agree. So great launching point right there. Let's get right into it. In today's market, we're having multiple offers all the time on everything, on many different price points. What are you guys finding is making the big difference in how you guys are able to get so many listings right now?
Yeah, so I think the number one thing that I watch, of course, the listings that we're getting, and then I'm also watching the listings that other brokers are getting. And the number one thing that I have found to be the best way to get listings is to know people who own real estate. Okay, I mean, so that there's it no longer matters whether you've been in the business 11 years, 19 years, or 19 days. Like it literally does not matter how long you've been in real estate. So don't feel intimidated if you're not a veteran in the real estate industry. Don't feel intimidated by that. What you got to go out there and do is go out there and meet some people. Okay. So what you want to be thinking about all the time is thinking about how do I get in front of people? How do I build relationships in the community with people? What can I do to connect myself to more humans that own houses? Okay. Because eventually what will happen is those people will either themselves decide to sell or they will a relationship with you, they will refer you to them. And those are that's the number one easiest way to find this.
I think you have to remember that it doesn't have to be like, I'm going to join these millions of groups and things so that people know what I do. It's literally making sure that in your day-to-day life, wherever you farm, whatever you do day-to-day, they know what you do. So a lot of people have asked me like, Lisa, I've lived in Gainesville for 8 years. Like, how do you know these people? Well, I teach 4 classes a week at Gainesville Health and Fitness. I get an average, somewhere before COVID, 50 people a day in a classroom. And I make sure that they know what I do. And that's important because you don't have to just do it in the real estate way. But if you are knowledgeable about real estate and you make sure that you make connections with people, you can use those connections to allow you to get in front of the people who are going to be selling houses.
Yeah, that's right. So, and if you're not really involved with anything like that, then you need to go get involved with things, so Gainesville, is a very charitable place. So, there's a lot of nonprofits that need help. There's a lot of organizations, boys and girls clubs, and all kinds of things that you can get involved with. So think about the things that you actually enjoy doing, like outside
Passion,
of work.
whatever,
what
yeah,
your passion
find
is.
your passion.
Yeah, and then go get involved in those kind of things, and so you'll meet people, and you'll eventually, that's the number one place to find business right now.
Lisa, when you and I met, we started to talk about, we were asking questions back and forth about, what are you guys doing differently and how do you do the marketing and how are we going to pivot, all those things. And something struck me when you were learning that, and I want to ask you that back to this market. When you are meeting people and you're out there, and we were, back in the day, and we were making care calls when COVID first hit, right? What does a care call sound like when you're just talking about, finding somebody to list a home in a market that there's no inventory?
Well, I think right now it's connecting with your buyers from about 3, 4, 5 years ago. So that is your primary portion of your database that you want to make sure in command, tag them with the year that they purchased, and then you can sort your list really simply and be able to go ahead and go, all right, those are my target market right now for people who are maybe considering a move up or a change in life, but B, have made some money on what they had originally bought. So that's something that you can easily do in command is tag your buyers from, what you can start with. Let me say, start with your 2015 buyers, or start with your 2016 buyers and go in and try to tag them and make sure that you've got them notated so that now you can formulate some sort of relationship with them around the idea that the inventory is super low, people are needing to buy homes and there's nothing out there, and they have seen a massive increase in the value of their home. I think that's an important thing to be doing right now.
That is a problem or not. And in addition to what Lisa's saying, what you want to do is it's your database, right? So if you don't have a database, guess what? You better get into command, get the people that you know into the database, and then set up smart plans for them as well so that you're staying in touch. There's a lot of information. It's free information. We have things internally inside of KW. You can send people Florida Realtors, NAR, and there's a whole lot of topics, news reports that you can just send to people to give them updates about what's going on in the world of real estate. And so that's a very powerful tool. And again, it's a touch. So every time you're touching the database and you're telling people what it is that you do and what's going on in the world of real estate, I'll tell you this, real estate is always a sexy topic. I mean, people just love talking about real estate all the time.
100%. I swear to you, it doesn't matter where I am. I get asked the question about what's the market like? What do you think my house is worth? I'm sitting at the pool, at a cheer competition for my daughter, and I'm pricing people's homes. This is what people want to talk about.
Oh,
I'm going to get it too.
Listen to I did a lot of travel in the past couple of weeks. Literally every place that I went to, whether I went to a restaurant or the beach or this or that, whatever it was, I just happened to be around somebody that I overheard them talking about real estate. And it just always happens. So just know that be paying attention. I made 3 contacts on vacation. Okay, just listening to conversations and hearing people randomly talk about real estate. Then I went up to them and began to have to open up a conversation with them. So anyway, getting your database is the most important thing. Go back to your database. If you don't have a database, plug your database, send them information, touch them, call them. Because people enjoy talking about real estate, we can make when COVID hit last year. Now, what you can do is you can still make care calls, but just kind of informing people about the market because you already know that if we call them and say, hey, listen, the reason I'm calling is we just decided that what we're going to do is because people are always talking about real estate and there's a lot of misinformation out there right now too. So what we decided to do is call our people that we know and say, would you like to know what's really going on in the real estate market? Okay, that's a nice care call to do. And most of your people are going to be like, oh yeah, what's going on? Because why? Because real estate's a good topic and a fun, sexy topic to talk about. So you're not going to have people be upset that you're calling them to give them real truth about the real estate market.
So one of the things that I wanted you to address is kind of new agents. Okay, and the reason I'm saying that is because people listen to you guys and our panelists from last week and they go, oh, the wisdom, it just shoots out of them. They don't understand that when you're sitting poolside or when you're on vacation or when you're doing these things, the scripts that are running through your head are not these complicated 3-minute scripts. They are simple things. And I think that our newer people are like, oh, how do I become that superstar? And they don't realize that the script is, hey, how are you? Engage.
So I'll give you one thing. So this is the thing that I learned when I took my real estate exam after I passed the test. And I, we're all intimidated because, we see all these top producing agents and blah, blah, blah. And so, but the one thing one of the instructors told me, he says, Craig, remember, when you finish your real estate exam, you know more about real estate than 90% of the people that are out there in the field that you're going to be helping. It was like, oh, that's right. So if I compare myself to at least a Fetrow, yeah, I'm going to feel like I fall short. But if I compare myself to the average homeowner that doesn't do this for a living, I know way more than they do. And that's really the person that I'm helping in the first place.
And I think confidence comes from knowledge. So this, again, background in teaching. I believe that if you don't keep up on the topics at hand, if you're not aware of what the market's doing, if you have no idea what the inventory crisis is or what that looks like, not just nationally, but in our micro market, if you don't understand those things, then when somebody does bring it up to you, you're going to be nervous and not know what to say and stumble over your words. And so if you put the time into learning the market and researching and just kind of being knowledgeable, what Craig went over with you guys today on the stats, those are quick knowledge. You can just pull to say, the list to sale price is 100% right now. To have that stat, that's an easy stat. All you do is drop that into a conversation. Oh my God, Craig is so smart. So
I'm not that smart.
You're like, he knows this statistic and I'm just having this random combo with him. How the heck did he just pull that out? If you have little pieces, little nuggets of information like that, but you also feel confident because you've read the Inman article, or you watched or you watched a podcast or listened to a podcast, or you talked to Craig in the hall for 10 minutes. If you just keep those little nuggets stored and then you use them when you're talking to people, it gives you that, like, you are the knowledgeable person. You have value beyond others. And that's what we're trying to do. What we do in our jobs as listing agents is we bring value to our sellers. And so we have to first get them to believe in our value. And that's how they decide to go ahead and list a property with us.
Yeah, this is a business. And so you got to remember, you have to, like we said earlier, education is the key. So I read news articles about real estate. I study the market. I go into the MLS. I pull up market data reports on neighborhoods. I do that literally every day because I want to always be fresh and understanding, so that when I do come into contact with someone, I feel confident about what I'm saying. So, and you guys can all do the same thing. You just gotta be intentional about your time you spend educating yourself on the real estate market.
Okay. So, in other real estate markets, you might go in and you might be up against 2 or 3 other agents, and you're saying part of your pitch or part of your presentation is, this is what makes me different. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do this for you. That doesn't seem to be what's happening right now as much as exactly. Lisa.
Hold on. Do not stop your process because there is so much, there's people wanting to sell and the market's crazy and there's all these things. When we start to skimp on our marketing and undercut what we have offered to our sellers, where is our value? If we're trying to maximize their profit, and yet we're just going to take a cell phone picture of their house, put it on MLS and hope they get an offer, then that is not a strategy, because hope is not a strategy. You have to have a plan. You have to have a way that you do it. And it doesn't matter that, the market's crazy. I refuse to hit the market with crappy marketing and hope to sell a house. There is a process to what I do. There is always professional photos. Since COVID, always a Matterport tour. If it's a beautiful lot, you got your drone photos. Don't skimp on that marketing. Why are they paying you? I mean, that's something to think about. Why are they paying you? If they could just enter it, then they're going to go through that flat fee service, take their cell phone pictures and put it on. How do you differentiate yourself in this market? And that is, I literally have it written. Do not skimp on your marketing, right there in my notes as something to talk about today, because I'm seeing it more and more, and I really believe it's leaving money on the table for sellers. Because I don't care how do you get the people in the door? So, you know, I know there's a ton of buyers, everyone's waiting, blah, blah, blah. But if it doesn't look appealing, you're going to miss out on some of the buyers that are maybe just kind of throwing the towel in. But if it is gorgeous, you're like, yes, I got to get in that house now.
And now we go back to reputation and database. So that person that you did that listing for has now had that experience. They've had the Lisa Fetrow experience. They've had the Team Dynamo experience. So once they've had that experience, what are they going to turn around and do?
Well, and when the market shifts, which we believe it will,
Eventually.
do we want people to look back on what we've done and I was giving you half-assed work? Or do you want to see what, like Lisa Fetrow has consistently given top dollar marketing to all of her listings? You know, so, and you know that you want consistency. You want your brand, what you put out there is your branding.
That's right.
So
on that note, Craig, here comes a layup. Ready? What Lisa's talking about right now is standard. How do you sell your standard and say, we will not go beneath this because this is who we are?
So first of all, you got to have a standard,
That's
right?
true.
So that's the first thing, right? So you have to make sure that you have your standard, you have it written down, right? So it just can't be in your head. So again, remember, we're running a business, whether you're a single agent or running a partnership or whatever you're doing, you should have it in writing, okay? So you want to have, this is who we are, right? If you are a single agent, you should know what's your mission for your single agent business? What's your vision? What do you want to accomplish? What are your business core values for your single agency? Like, what are your core values? How do you have that written down? You communicate and show that to the client, the potential seller, when you have the opportunity to get in front of them at their house. Because those little things will literally set you apart, because what I have found is that most people are very motivated to be a part of something greater than the normal thing, the mediocre. All right. The majority, we have right now, we have 1,500, I think last that I checked, around 1,500 real estate licensed agents, realtors in Alachua County. All right.
You're just crazy.
We got 326 houses for sale. This is
That's a really dirty piece of the pie.
It's a massive problem, okay? So how are you going to differentiate yourself? Well, if I have my mission, my vision, my core values, I don't care whether you have a team of business or you're a single agent, do you have those things written down? Are you presenting that to that person? That's going to set you apart from the mediocre agents who are just showing up, hoping to get a listing and a sign on the ground.
Yeah, because right now I think what we're seeing a lot of is like people showing up and being like, yeah, I'll list it for that. And then that's the deciding factor. But when I sit down and I say, here's my entire beautiful sheet that says my commitment to you and then here's my entire suite of marketing that I'm going to provide to you. And then here's what my customers say about me. And then here's all of my accolades and the things that I've done over the last 8 years in this market. And on top of that, let's look at your market. And yes, I talked to that other agent who has a pending listing. And yes, they had 8 offers and they went over the price. And this happened to here and this happened to that. And this is where I think you're going to price your house to maximize your profit. And this is how we're going to get people in the door. That's going to win over, yeah, the market's great. Here's a price. Let's go.
Let's go. And so remember, now let's say you're a brand new agent, right? So you don't have 8 years, 5 years, 6 months of experience, right? Here's what I did back in the beginning, because when I first started, guess what? I was new too. We were all new one point in time, right? And so when I was new, what I knew was this: I didn't have any experience, but I was with a company that had a lot of experience. And so what I did is when I went on my listing appointments, when I had not sold a listing yet, I had no sales, I was always very upfront and honest about that. I told the seller, I've not sold a house yet. I'm brand new in the market, but listen, I'm hungry and I'm smart. I'm humble. I'm ready to work. I will go to work for you. And I have the backing of my company that's going to be there to support me through the way. If there's anything I get stuck on, I know who to call. I know who to get answers. I used to promote the top agents of my company. Because I would go to them and say, hey, look, if I have an issue, would you be willing to help me? And they said, oh, yeah, fantastic. So I would leverage those people. I say, have you heard of so-and-so, so-and-so? Well, they're in my company and they're going to help me help you. And you guys can do that. Leverage us.
And also, what resume accolades do you have from whatever you did before? Like, were you a top athlete in college? Did you do, or your high school, or did you do a previous career and you moved through the ranks? If you can prove that you have succeeded in other things, and yet this, maybe you're new at this, but you have intentions to succeed, and you are adding that to your marketing plan and the pricing plan for their house, then they're going to trust you. If you can, you don't have to say, I've sold 9 million houses. You can say, well, I'm new to this market, but here's what I've done prior, and this is my intention to do this in this market, and this is the plan that I have in place for listing your home, and I'm accessible, and you can call me at any time, and you can give them all the stuff of, those other busy agents, they may not answer your phone call. I mean, use it. I don't see why you can't.
And you title it my track record of success.
Yes.
Okay. Track record of success. You put that on the paper and you put whatever you've done. I don't care if you were, you know what I would do? I put in there when I was in the 3rd grade, I won the, I want to tell people I'm a winner. Okay.
Yeah.
I've won in other areas. Maybe I'm new to real estate and gaming, but I will learn how to win here also.
Yeah. And I still, to this day, I'm what, 11 years into the business. I still to this day reference previous things that I've done in life that have gotten me to this point. And that's because it shows a proven track record of achieving whatever industry it has been in.
How do agents in this market use social media to not just promote things, but to promote themselves as, hey, we are here and this is what we do to help? What do you think?
All right. So when it comes to social media, you got to use it for one. Okay. So I know a lot of people that, they're not into that, or they're too private or whatever, but understand something. People are watching it. I remember before there was a Facebook. Okay. And when we were in real estate, I remember when Facebook first came out, and then the first talking about, oh, you can put, your listings and get real estate business up and and back then it was like, this is crazy. Who's going to buy real estate on Facebook, And then all of a sudden people were doing it. And I was like, okay, so we get on there, I signed up, got an account. That was, I think, 11, 12 years ago, signed up for an account on Facebook. And then what I realized was, oh, wow, you know what? I don't have to talk about real estate all the time. But as people get to know me as a person by what I put out there on Facebook, or, not all the other different platforms we have, is that they're watching that. And what's happening is they're connecting with you on a human level. And then as I sprinkle in the fact that I sold the house, helped the client, here's a testimonial, here's what we're doing today, here's a video of me doing red day, here's I'm trying to get back to the community. Then it became your image, this holistic image of who you are, and then people are more trusting of you. Remember, the number one thing in real estate is trust, the number one thing. So if I know, like, and trust you, there's a high probability that you have an opportunity to help that person in that listing opportunity.
I have to say, I think social media by far is one of the main things that has gotten me to where I am today. And I don't know if you guys follow me, Realtor Mom Lisa Fetrow. That's where I'm at on Instagram and Facebook, and now TikTok, which I don't even know what the heck I'm doing there. I'm really old and I feel wrong, but anyways, good thing for Shannon, my assistant, who makes all these amazing TikToks of random videos I send her. So, but here's the deal that I believe in, and it is literally being true to yourself and who you are and presenting that out to the public. And so, and there's also a level of professionalism that I believe that you have to bring to your social media. So if you are somebody who has a personal account and a business account, and you don't think people are cross-referencing those, wake up, they are. And realize that there's people who now, you're friends with them on personal, and now you're like complaining about something or saying this or saying that. Those things start to reference to them who you truly are. And so I've always looked at as social media as being kind of your representative. So will I say something differently at home to Jason than I would on social media? 100%. But on social media, because you are considered a public figure, you have to be aware that there's people watching both your personal and your business accounts. And I think it's a good place for you to be positive and be out there and talk about what you enjoy and what you like. But if you're trying to grow your business, you've got to make the masses interested. So that's kind of, you know, it's something to think about. But I think Craig's point about showing who you are and your different levels, you know, people follow me because of workouts. So they get on my social media because I post my workouts from the day, and they go and they do them at home. I don't know why. I don't like working out by myself, but a lot of people do, and I'm super mean, and I don't know why they follow me, but they do. And they go home and they do, and they thank me for that. And they're always like, "Oh, did you post that one? Did you do this? Like, what was the workout today?" So, and I get messages, and then I get like messages about like, "You didn't post today's workout. What did you guys do today?" And so those things keep people engaged, even though it has nothing to do with real estate. And then I post the, you know, under contract, sold, buyer under contract, this piece of information, that piece of information. And then I get a phone call. "Hey, Lisa, I don't know if you know me, but I come to your class on Thursday, and my husband just got a job transfer and we're moving. And I'm wondering if maybe you could come meet me, because I really love all, you know, your workout classes. Can you come and meet me for that?" And the reason they're connecting still, even if they haven't been at the gym for a year because of COVID, is because I keep that going on the social media part. So, you know, that's, if you just have to kind of find what's your thing, what's your niche, and then make sure that, you know, if you're way into horses, or you've got, you know, like you're saying, a charity that you're involved in, or and keep it varied, because people get really bored of like this listing, this listing, this listing,
Don't do that.
this listing,
Yeah.
this
I think
listing.
the ratio is like 25 to maybe 30, but 25% of your posts on your personal page. All right, don't go past 30%. Okay, on your personal page about real estate business. Keep your personal page personal, but sprinkle the real estate stuff in there.
Share your business page to your personal page occasionally. Don't like, so if you have a really cool listing, share it from your personal page. You know, to share that to your personal page. That will keep that going in and get connection to people like, "Oh, I don't like their business page yet." So that's a good way to do that from your personal. Drive people over to your business page. Your business page has all the real estate stuff on it.
Right. So this is really easy for me because I'm born and raised in Gainesville. You're not born and raised in Gainesville. You've been here a long time, and you've only been here 8 years. How do you guys incorporate learning Gainesville, learning something about the Gainesville, the east side of town, the Cade Museum? I mean, everybody's got the university. Everybody knows somebody. We are what's the word I'm looking for? When people are hiring and firing a lot, we are very, a lot of turnover here in Gainesville. How do you guys do that to engage in that part, so that when that person who's bought from you 3 years from now, "Hey, the university, I just got hired and I'm off somewhere else." How do you guys do that in terms of learning Gainesville, so that you're not just a real estate expert, you're a Gainesville expert, you're somebody who they want to talk to?
I'm going to take you back to when I, first got into real estate. I think a lot of our people are newer, less than 2 years in the business, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I didn't know what to do. I had none of this. I didn't have any Zoom, I didn't have any meetings or people, any training of this kind of nature. So I just started thinking. I would sit in my office like, okay, what do I got to do? I knew this. I knew I had to have product knowledge. Okay. So my first thing was, what is my product? Okay. And then I realized that my product was information. Like, so I needed to know about real estate. I need to know what somebody said. I want to go to Hale Plantation. I need to know where is that. If somebody wanted to go to Belmont or this neighborhood, I wanted to know the neighborhood. So what I did, I literally mapped out Gainesville, and every day I'm going to take 2 hours. I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to drive to these neighborhoods. I would go on the MLS. I would pull up the different neighborhoods, and I would see what the price points were in the neighborhood, high to low price points. I would see what years the houses were built, and then I would get in my car and I would drive through the neighborhoods and kind of get an idea what the houses look like. And if you do that over and over and over again, over time, you start to form a good perspective of these different areas. And it's like, oh, Southwest and Northwest and Northeast, and that's how you do it. You do it Northeast around the whole compass. So if you do that over time, you will start to get clarity around that. I would also go and look at what real estate agents seem to sell the most homes in certain parts of town, in certain neighborhoods. That was an important thing for me to know. So anyway, yeah, and how many homes? I wanted to know which neighborhoods had the most turnover of houses, okay? Because obviously, if you do have a neighborhood that has high turnover, I probably want to know about those neighborhoods more because it's more likely that there's going to be sales in those neighborhoods. So, you know, in the MLS is perfect. I spend a lot of time just in the MLS, studying the MLS daily. Okay, so you got, again, this is a business. The more you put into it, the more you will get out of it long term.
And I think something that Wiki was kind of touching on too is connecting with community. So I think it's really important that, so let's say your buyers should turn into your sellers, okay, eventually. So when the buyer first comes in and you're working with them, you should really be focused on them being, that you are their resource to what's cool, what's fun, what is there to do, where do you eat in Gainesville. And so if you can have kind of a quick list, and I keep notes in my phone, I just keep one of the note sheets and it's like got links to whatever it is, my favorite restaurants or the places I want you to go see or the cool things to do. And then they go, and you've toured a day with them, and then they go, well, we're here tonight, what should we do? Send that over to them. All right, so now you fast forward to where they bought their house and you are touching points with them throughout, and they need a repair person, and now they need to do a kitchen remodel, and now they need a doctor, or now they have a question about, you know, where should I go? Where should I, anything, like anything, where should my kid go play sports or whatever? A lot of people, if you built up that, you know, I'm your person to tell you about all the things Gainesville, they will come to you. I get texts from people who've been here now for as long as I have. And they're like, Lisa, do you know of a, and I'm like, yep. And I send them over somebody. And so if you can be that relied resource that always knows the answer to what there is in Gainesville, and do they have to go with what you told them? No. But did you give them an answer? Yes. And so that's kind of the big thing. And then when you come around to taking a listing, when you walk through, and I hope you do this with your seller and you're looking at the house, and for me, again, I'm on my phone, I take my notes so that I don't lose them, and I'm noting everything in the house, and we're pointing out items that maybe need repair or need this or need that, and then they're telling you things that they know don't work or haven't done this or haven't done that, and you immediately are able to then send them preferred providers to do these things for them, then you are again showing your value of knowledge in the market and connecting to community and you know, options for them to use. Do they have to use them? No, but you have some sort of an option. Hey, if you can't find anyone, try this person.
Well, I think the other thing that you just touched on is what Craig said before. All of that wraps back into trust. And so they're trusting you. They're trusting you for those as a relied resource. Okay. This is a bit about goal setting with respect to listings, right? So you'd say at the beginning of the year, hey, I want to do this many listings. How do you guys plan break it all down, right? We go from the year to the quarter to the month to the week. How do you guys say, this is what I'm going to go do to get listings right now, whether that's lead gen and what that looks like?
Yeah. So, you know, we call that begin with the end in mind, right? And then you got to map out the process. So if I know I want to, you know, if I want to close, 20 listings this year, then I know that in order for me to close 20 listings, I got to find one, that's for sure, but we got to work backwards. So closing is if that's the end game, then I got to know how many of the listings that I put under contract actually close. So there's a ratio there. So let's just say, well, right now it's pretty high, but let's just say the number is 85%. So if I know that 85% of all the homes that go under contract will close because some will fall through because of inspections or appraisals or this, that, buyer remorse, seller changes their mind, whatever. But then I'm going to say, if I got to have 20 houses closed, then I got to have whatever the 85% number is, 22, 23, I got to have, under contract. Now, how many of the homes that I have under contract, how many homes that I have listed actually go to contract? Right. All right. So if I know that that number right now is 90%, then I got to have 25 homes listed to get 22 to go to contract to get 20 to close so I can hit my goal for the end of the year. Okay. So now I'm going back. I got to get 25 listings. Well, how do I find one listing? How many sellers, when I go on a listing appointment, How many listing appointments do I have to go on in order for me to get one person to agree to allow me to be their listing specialist? All right, so if I'm brand new, that number might be, I might have to go on 10 appointments to get one. Okay, well, it doesn't matter and see, the thing is that it does not matter what the ratio is. You just got to know the numbers. You got to know the ratios, right? For you. So if you're new, I'm going to err on the side of, I need to do a whole lot more to get a whole lot less until I get to the point where, my conversation skills are a little bit more clear, better, my conversions are better. But let's just say I got to go on 10 listing appointments to get one. Great. Now I know I got to get 10 to 1. So I got to go on, the math, right? It was at 250, right? Listing appointments I got to go on to get 25 to get the whole number. So now what happens is I got to say, okay, I got to get 20 listing appointments a month, just using these big numbers. Okay. How do I do that? Now I got to go now. Now we get into the lead generation part. Okay. How do I find some person that wants to buy a house? Now this is when we come all the way back full circle into our contacts, our spheres. What do you want to do? I'm brand new. I don't have any contact. Well, guess what? I had a lot of contact, but because I wasn't so smart, I didn't go to my contacts. I found new people, right? So what areas did I have available to me to find people? Well, I called for several owners. I door knocked. I went around the companies. I came out of a sales background where I was in corporate sales. So I went back to my roots and I just went into all the companies around Gainesville and walked up in there and said, hey, I'm new in real estate. I'm trying to meet people that might want to sell houses. I had a stack of cards. Can I give my cards out to people in the offices here that might have a real estate need to sell their house soon, right? Joining groups. I joined a lot of nonprofit organizations and things that I enjoy doing because I knew I'd meet people there. Restaurants. I would go to certain restaurants and frequent them and just talk to people, right? So I mean, again, I used to go to the mall back in the day and walk around and just talk to strangers because I figured if you're shopping, you're spending money, you might own something, right? So, and I had, you have to get over yourself as far as being afraid to get rejected, which is a hard thing. I don't like rejection. So it's very hard for me to do that. But my motivation to get my numbers that I had to hit was higher than my fear of rejection. All right. So I pushed through it and then did it. So you have to understand that this is not a magic trick, magic formula. It's a systematic, intentional knowing what I have to do. You have to have clarity around what to do, which is why we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah, exactly. Intention is all what I want to say is you have to be intentional. You have to make a plan. And if that plan is you're going to put ads out and answer phone calls or track every lead, or you're going to go join a group and meet people and remind, every day you got to tell 10 people that you're in real estate, whatever it is that you come up with, that's your plan that works for you, you have to have a plan. If you just hope and pray, it's not going to help you. You've got to have a plan that you are implementing to execute so that you can get to that ultimate goal.
Lisa, earlier you were talking about, being a former athlete, and when I think about that, it always takes me back to fundamentals. So I see that you've got some incredible listings right now, and a lot of them are high dollar, and I know that you treat everybody the same regardless of the price point that they have. But going back to your roots, what do you think it is about the fundamentals that makes it so that you can give people a consistent product, that's what you're selling, which is you and your company? How is it that you do that?
I think it's just that, again, it's a plan. I realized what I wanted to provide. I found my morals, my ethics, what my branding I wanted it to be. And I put together a system in place that is consistent. And, no matter if you are my $100,000 mobile home or my $1 million, beautiful listing somewhere else, the presentation is the same. So it's like you just, that they still get the same amount of ads and things going out, and that's kind of just the way that I do things. I want it to be consistent. I don't want anybody to ever look at my at my listing photos or my posts or the way that I present the listing in MLS and go, oh, that one was obviously a cheaper one. So she, you know, cut it down. And I believe that my brand is important enough to give a consistent product across the line.
So what we're talking about is brand, okay? So, which is important because if you don't have a brand, you need to get a brand, right? So you got to figure out what is it? How do I get people's attention? When I got in and I was a single agent and working 8 days a week, trying to meet people because I had a lot of numbers I was trying to hit. You know, it was how do I differentiate myself from the other, you know, at that point in time, 700, whatever it was, agents that were out in the marketplace. And I knew I liked fitness and that kind of thing. So I created like I had somebody create like a little logo for me that was like, you know, a fitness type thing. And I began to put that out to build a brand because I wanted to distinguish, I want people to remember who I was. That's the worst thing in the world is that people don't remember you, because remember now there's 1,500 people. We're easily forgotten. The NAR statistics, even after you help somebody close on a house, within the first 3 weeks, they forget you.
Yeah.
And so a brand that you have, that you create for yourself, helps people to remember who you are. That's why the Realtor Mom, you know, Team Dynamo, these different things, you know, you have to create an image for yourself that sticks in people's brains, and that will help them call you on you when they need help.
A real estate stat that will support what Greg is talking about is when they interviewed people right after they had sold their house with somebody, and they asked them, would they use that agent again? 85% of them said yes. And then 3 years later, when it came time for them to need a real estate agent, less than 13% actually used that same agent. So being a person that is fixed in their mind and in top of mind definitely makes a difference. Hey, let's pivot into a little bit of nuts and bolts. So in this crazy market, and you guys are the listing agents, because again, as Craig was laying out those numbers, he was not saying, hey, it's not about how many listings you take, it's how many you get to close, right? So you guys are now the listing agents, and you've got all these offers that are coming to you right now. How do you help that whole, how do you set the expectation for your seller so that they can get off of that emotional roller coaster that is, you know, synonymous with real estate? How do you guys do that?
All right, so the first thing is having those conversations up front. So like this morning, I was on a listing appointment, and, you know, he signed the listing, the wife signed the listing, and I said, okay, now we got to have a conversation. Okay, and it was setting expectations about what, you know, so my job is to make sure that they understand what's coming next. And all the things, try to give them as much scenarios, potential scenarios as possible. You know, and one of the things I was talking to another agent yesterday, and they were having a situation because the seller they got a full price offer on their home like really, really quickly. But then the seller didn't want to sign the contract because they were like, well, I should have priced it higher, because apparently since we got an offer so fast, full price, it was priced too low. I'm not signing it, I want more, right? So I said to her, I said, well, you know, after she told me the whole story, I said, well, you know, that could be fixed, right? And she says, well, what do you mean? I says, well, because that should have been addressed on the listing appointment. All right, on a listing appointment. And then I took her back to that section on the listing agreement that talks about these are the cases in which a commission is due to the real estate broker. And one of the conditions in which a commission is due is if I bring you a price, full price to the terms that you want, blah, 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 blah. And so I said, I actually have that conversation with the seller at the appointment, because I want to say it to like them, say, hey, now Wiki, I'm going to sell your house and decide it for you. Now here's the situation. Here's other examples in when a commission will be due to me. Okay, let's pretend that I get an offer on your house in a few hours after we put it on the market, and it's a full price offer. And now you would never do this, Wiki. Okay, I say it just like that. Okay, you would never do this, but because people do this, it's in this agreement. Okay, but let's pretend that offer came to you full price in the first day, and you said to yourself, oh man, if it came, you know, a full price offer, I don't want to sign it. You know, you would still owe me a full commission because I did my job for you. Do you understand that? And then now I got a guy I told that to today who's got a very expensive house that we're going to put on the market. Who's
Where?
We'll talk. After this is over. 10 acres right near Hill Plantation. And so,
We're all right.
And so, and this guy's he's a bottom line business driver. I'm telling you what to do, da, 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 da. And so I know people like that. I gotta be careful because, because he even said it one time to me, if the offer comes quick, that means our price is too low. And so I had to have that conversation to say, listen, we don't get into the emotion. We're gonna look at the stats. The stats say X, Y, Z. If we do better than that, then you need to understand that's a win, even if it happened in the first day. Okay. And so we're going to have those expectation conversations up front. Now we're going to switch over to, you got a house that is a hot product, multiple offers, right? How do you handle the multiple offer situations? How do you manage those expectations? I just did a class on Inman 2 days ago to talk about all these things. We don't have that kind of time to go into all the specifics. What I can tell you is, having this, if you're about to list a home that's going to get blown up with offers, you need to have the seller be prepared for that. One of the things that we're seeing sellers struggle with right now is the stress of having what do I do? And I got 15 offers on this house. We did create a spreadsheet that we use that we put all the offers on. It takes all the stuff out. It makes it kind of very easy for the seller to see the difference, the net at the bottom, all the high points and low points. And then we can have a conversation about a spreadsheet on all the offers rather than trying to go over each offer individually.
Do you guys know that Command, you can put all that information in and you can send them a really pretty email that breaks it all out like that?
Oh, I did not know
It
that.
is freaking awesome.
Oh,
And I have been
oh,
using
wow.
it. And you can, it's got specific things in it. And then there's a summary spot where you can put in the information that you want to make sure they know about. And then you just shoot them, it says, and you shoot them an email and it says, you have 6 offers in the email. And it goes to them and they're like looking at it and they're like, oh, I have 6 offers. So that's a really cool feature in Command. I started using it. I'm having Shannon, my doer of all things. I can't call her my assistant because she's like 10 times more than that. But my doer of all things she pulls the offers, she throws them all in there. I go in, I make my assessments, and then I shoot that email out to my seller. And making that the expectations known up front. So when you are at the listing appointment and they are a listing under $400,000, if you do not talk about the inventory crisis and the fact that if you price them correctly, you will likely have multiple offers on their house, then you are doing a disservice to yourself and them. They have to understand that you will price the house and if you price it appropriately, it should have an offer in the first 3 days. And so what I've actually been doing lately is going, let's hit the market Wednesday. And any of you who know my listings, you're going to see this has been happening. Hit the market Wednesday, allow showings to start Thursday. Sellers are out of town through the weekend, not making a decision until Sunday. And I have done that on every single one of mine that's in under $400,000. And we have had multiple offers. We have had until Sunday to make that decision. We're not rushed. We're not trying to be like, oh God, and people are asking me, I sent you the offer and I put 12 hours as our acceptance date. And I said, well, I made it very clear that we were going to wait until Sunday to make a decision.
Yeah. And so make sure, make sure with that's, like Lisa said, it's spoken about in the MLS and the private remarks, so they know that's there. And make sure it's the seller that's giving you the instruction to do that. And if the seller is instructing you to do that, and you put that in the private remarks, and then you let the thing go. Yeah, really good.
It just allows you a little bit more time because the snap judgment that I feel like sellers it's stressful. You guys, we do this day in, day out, and it's stressful to us. Imagine if it's something you've never dealt with before. So we have got to figure out ways to set expectations and have a plan in place and be able to coach them through it so that it is the most positive experience they could have and they get the most money for their house and the best terms. So those things, and you have to teach them how to weigh those. You have to, you can't just say, well, that's a VA offer, get rid of it. That's a this and that's a that. They have no idea what you're talking about. So you have got to make sure you educate your seller through the process of before, all right, we're hitting the market on Wednesday. Now, if we get full price offers and here's kind of what it's going to look like. And here's, the difference between cash and a loan and the different types of loans. And then here's the fact about local lenders versus non. And here's the thing about agents that have been doing it a long time or not a long time, or local versus out of area. And all these things can play in it. But let's first just look at the terms when they come in, and then I'll give you my little insights about what are the other things that play a part in the transaction.
Also leverage the other agents in the office. Okay, you have a lot of top agents in the office now that are very experienced. And we're a company built by agents and built for agents. And so that's why we're doing this, and why we've had so many of these things this year, is that we are constantly wanting to give back to other agents in the office. So leverage all the people here. Also, it's on you. If you're having struggles with certain things, if you don't understand what the difference is between an FHA and a VA and a USDA and a this and that, then if you don't understand those things, you're going to have a hard time communicating that to a buyer or seller. If you don't understand those things, then we should be having classes about those things, because we love to give back to the office. So don't feel like you can't call Wiki and email him or text him and say, hey, Wiki, I want to learn about XYZ, because he's always looking for topics of discussion that are relevant to your actual needs, that we can all collectively, all the agents in the office can give back to teach. So please keep that in mind also.
So Lisa, you just said as the time was getting crunched down and we're going to review these offers, do you set a time limit for once the offers start coming in? Do you say, hey, we're not taking any more offers, or the sellers are making a decision at this point?
I just let any showing that's happening, because I'm somebody who's still, I use showing time, but I confirm all the showings, even if it's like a vacant house, just so I know what's happening. But I will then contact that agent and say, if they schedule their showing for Sunday at noon, I'll be like, hey, we have 4 offers on the table, and the plan is to have a decision by 4 p.m. And so then they're able to make a decision on what they want to do. Do they want to come then, or do they want to come sooner, or do they want to, those sorts of things, so that everybody's in line. But you have to make sure your seller has given you the ability to let people know about multiple offers. So make sure that is an agreement on your listing agreement that they've signed, that they will allow you to let others know about multiple offers. But yeah, it's all about setting expectations, being transparent. I think that people who work with me, you guys know, I shoot straight. I'm telling you what I know, and I'm not trying to hold you any knowledge away from you. And it's just, here's what I have, here's what we're doing, and may the best man win, or woman.
Yep. So that takes me to, we always talk about having many layers of customers, the public that we're serving, one another, but also agents at other brokerages, which we are a collective group, right? So along those lines, you guys are handling multiple offer situations, and then this afternoon, you're going to be one of those multiple offer situations. How do you advise your newer agents or the agents in our market center to have those good communication lines open with other agents? Because, sometimes the claws come out, and in this market, when people get frustrated, how do you deal with that so that you're being the right person on both sides?
I think you got to connect. You got to, if you are not, oh gosh, this week's great. You could go to all these open houses that are happening for the agents, for the Builders Association, Parade of Homes. And there's going to be agents after agents after agents. And if wear your name tag, go in, introduce yourself, look at their name tags, or if you recognize their picture, say, hey, you're Craig Wilburn. Oh my gosh, I'm Lisa Fetrow. I'm new. I watch what you do. You're such an amazing agent. I made an offer a couple weeks ago on one of your listings and I didn't get it. And just be like that. And but it's so awesome to meet you in person. And I did this to Craig, you guys, 8 years ago. I did this to Craig. I met him in person. I told him how impressed I was with his signs everywhere and how much, I saw the business that he did. And he has known me and I feel like trusted me ever since.
So you take that for an example. So here I am, been in the business for a while at that point in time, new agent comes in, but we see new agents come and go all the time, right? But when somebody does something like that, it says, oh, this person's different, right? So now what happens is it creates an unspoken relationship that makes you say, man, I'm looking forward to doing a deal with her, you know? Now, remember, we're gonna all be on both sides of the equation sometimes, and you're not gonna win them all. We're gonna lose listings, we're gonna lose buyers, we're gonna lose offers, and, you know, but I can tell you what, there's some as a listing agent, when it's a multiple buyer situation, and you have a relationship with that buyer specialist that you like because they were nice to you and they were kind, they were humble, they were helpful, they weren't competing with you, trying to be better than you, trying to take you out, all this kind of stuff. You're going to do sometimes things that help that person get the deal. Okay, it's just what it is. People do it for us all the time. We get in the door on deals a lot because the listing agents want to work with us. And so never forget the importance of having good quality relationships with other agents. It is one of the most important measures to our success personally. This is why we always treat every agent as if they are the top producing agent in the city, because we want to maintain those great relationships.
So I call that laying the foundation. So if you can go to GATCAR events or open houses or brokers opens or wherever you're going to be in front of other agents and they're going to now know who you are and put a face to a name, that's your foundation. Now when you're talking about submitting the offer and then or whatever it is, like you were saying, and getting that one, and I know we've kind of flipped over to some buyer stuff, but anyways, you making sure that you don't just send an offer. I can't believe some of the agents who have been in town forever that literally just emailed me an offer, never called me, never texted me, never asked if there were other offers on the table, just sent it. And then they're like, hey, what's going on with my offer? I'm like, oh, you sent one? Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, I got it. But you know, like, what's the deal here? Like you've got to communicate. So if you just reach out, just say, hey, just wanting you to know, I just emailed you the offer. You know, here's kind of the basis of it. Thank you so much. Blah, blah, blah. And that's it. Call them or text them or email them. I would say if you've emailed the offer, call or text, just so that they get another connection. But yeah.
So guys, we're going to be ending up real soon here in just a minute. What I'd like for you to do is let's have a moment for questions and answers. So if you'll put your questions in the chat, that would help me, because then we can ask Lisa and Craig about that. But as far as knowing you've got new agents, they're learning a lot, they're taking notes, they're doing these things. You guys have given a lot of good advice from that. Okay, if somebody is not just new to the real estate market, but new in this market right here, what do they have to do differently, because they don't know even how to get started? What do they have to do? Like right now, you mentioned door knocking, right? How does somebody go out and say, because again, if I'm selling my house and I don't have a relationship with a Craig Wilburn or a Lisa Fetrow, but I have a relationship with a brand new agent, I might get that person. How do they gain that advantage being so new?
So I did, and the open houses are fantastic.
Okay.
You know, again, if you don't have any listings, there's people in the office that have listings that would be more than happy to have you, to help you learn how to do open houses, help you do the open houses. We can do that also. A lot of our listings are selling so fast that we're not even having a chance to do open houses. But we more than we actually have a program on our team where what we will do is we will train you on open house a couple times. So if you want to come on and shadow a couple times, and then we can let you do it on your own. So I mean, there's opportunities to do those things here. You definitely, door knocking is a thing. You know, I mean, you heard the testimony about Zab with with the Curling's Group and Springtree. That's because why? Because he's going out, he's spotting neighborhoods that he thinks are high turnover, and he's going in and he's just going to meet people. Now, some neighborhoods you can't door knock, so you got to know whether those solicitation and things of that nature. Even though we're not going soliciting anything, we're just going to meet people, make contacts, and give people information is what we're doing. So just be aware of that. What other suggestions do you think? I just think really it's a matter of just getting to know people. You gotta and talking about your business on your social media. I think those are the two biggest things you can do right now. It doesn't cost any money to talk about. I just sat in the class today, you know, in our office at Keller Williams, and we heard some great things about real estate. You know, blah, blah, blah. Let people know what you're doing. Just communicate what you're doing every day.
Yes, via social media, via, you know, dinner with your friends, you know, just someone you like all those, your social circle is eventually going to be your customer base.
Yeah.
So,
people out to
you know,
we do, I tell you what, so we can do breakfast, coffee, lunch, or cocktails. Okay. Pick one, right? And you got people, you know, take them out, talk to them. They're gonna talk to them about what's going on in their world. You know, hey, what's happening with you? I just saw you had a new baby, or I just saw you got a new job, or I just saw you lost your job, or I mean, whatever is going on. Help them connect with them on that level, and then the conversation will naturally switch over. Okay, well, great, well, what do you got going on? Oh, glad you asked. Well, the market is blah, 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 right? So I mean, but be intentional about making those kind of, is there chat, any questions in there?
Yeah, I'll get it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so be very intentional about those face-to-face relationships. I have seen agents that I don't even know their names. I have no idea where these people come from, and they're listing everything because when I do research on them, I realize, oh, you know, they got family, they got a spouse at Shands or UF, or they came out of this background. They know people, or they're in the tennis club, or you know, I mean, there's something that they're doing around other people, and they're building relationships. All right. With other people, and that's causing them to do more business.
Yeah.
Hey guys, everybody that's out there in Zoom land, I want to give you the opportunity to go ahead and speak now and ask a question. If you have one, because I know that there one came up, but if you have one, go ahead and ask it now, and let's make sure that we can hear you. Okay, great. Then I'm going to ask one last question of both of these guys. You have a question? Go ahead.
So when you're educating your clients on, you know, the different loan things and all these other things, do you do that before you have them on a contract, or you do that after?
So when
So
you're
how much
making a
do you
listing,
invest? Yeah, how much do you invest on the front end, and how much do you invest?
so once you've got your listing agreements signed, then you give all your wealth of knowledge on that kind of stuff. On like, hey, this is what we're being addressing. Now you can definitely say up front, like you're at a price point that's going to have some high amount of offers, and this is why it's a good thing to have me on your side.
Right,
You know, and then you show them that you got that listing agreement signed. All right, so you know, this is kind of what the different offers may contain, and these are the things we're going to look at. And then that way, when you send them that super cool command email, they already understand that that's a VA loan or a conventional loan or an FHA loan, and you're not explaining it like kind of backtracking.
Yeah, so when people don't know, if somebody calls you and asks you a question about the market, the real estate, mortgages, you know, whatever, you need to go ahead and answer all the questions.
Yes,
Okay.
that's true.
Because they might not do anything right now. They just, I mean, I have a guy, I talked to him about his questions that he would call me about. The first time I saw him, he asked me a question about real estate, and I just gave him this whole thing, and he was like, wow, you know, so that was like 8 years ago, right? And then just randomly, he'd reach out, hey, I see this going on in the news, what do you think about that? And I gave him everything I knew, right? Well, he eventually put his house, called me about selling his house, right? Called me, put his house on the market, sold his house. And then he referred every person in the neighborhood that he knew to me. So let's start list all their houses. And so again, this is like, if somebody calls you wanting information just in general, always plug in with whatever you
And
know.
that's what we were saying at the beginning, is
Yeah.
having those nuggets of knowledge. Make sure you have
That's
those
right.
ready to go. Because you don't want someone to ask you a question and you're like, I don't know. I'm not sure.
And if you do know, and
Yeah.
if you don't know, you say the answer, I will find, I don't know the answer. That was my number one thing I always said when I first started. I said, you know what, I actually don't know, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to
If someone asks you something super like in-depth, you know, what's the price per square foot going on a house and blah, 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 and you're like, you know what, I haven't sold something in there in the last week. Let me take a look for you.
Yeah.
Happy to get that to you. You know, that kind of stuff.
I
is
do,
fun.
we still do that.
I do that
now.
all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know, I
2 weeks
didn't
ago.
sell one in there last week, and the prices have jumped 10% in the last day. I have no idea. Like,
Good. That's good. Okay, last thing that I want to ask before I give you both the opportunity to close up with anything that you want to say to the group is, you do lead generation one way, you do lead generation another way. If I am a new agent, not even a new agent, let's say I've been in the business for a year or two, but I take, 4 or 5 or 8 listings a year, so I don't have a whole lot of practice in that. How would you advise me for my script to be when I'm calling my database? Because I'm just going to call my database, and this is a crazy market. What am I saying? What do you advise those guys to say when they pick up the phone, call someone that they know, like, and trust, and just say, hey, what do you think that phone call sounds like?
What do you say to somebody that you, that you've known from college or from high school, you haven't talked to in a long time, and you just want to reconnect and catch up with them? What do you say to them? How do you talk to them?
Say, how you doing?
Do the same thing. Okay, this is not like, there's no like secret sauce formula to like, oh, we gotta say this a certain way. You know, just talk to people, right? Always be transparent, always be genuine. I find that my greatest superpower that I have in selling a lot of houses and generating new business is genuineness. Like people, like I don't try to blow smoke. I'm like, hey, look, what's going on here? I need to tell you, like, I'm trying to, I do this almost, I mean, definitely every week, almost on a daily basis. When I'm talking to people, listen, I'm trying to find people to sell their houses.
Yeah.
You know, because do you know how bad the market, I mean, I think, oh, you think the market's great, don't you? I'm like, well, it ain't great for us, right? It's not great, okay? It's great for people that are selling their homes. It's not great for the people buying their houses. And it's not great for us as agents because it's stressful. It's a lot going on. It's confusing, it's complicated. But what we're looking for right now is we're looking for people that want to sell their homes. Do you know anybody? Our inventory is so bad. And of course, the number one response I get from people is, man, I would totally sell my house, but I have nowhere to go. Okay, right. I get that. I heard that 3 times at my son's baseball game last night because everybody I talked to, I said the same thing. When I'm talking to people, I'm asking people, who do you know that might want to say, would you want to sell your house?
Yeah.
You know, and I do them smile and they laugh, but listen, they know what I'm doing. They know I'm looking for real estate to list. Right. And so I know that if I keep doing that over and over and over again, eventually someone's going to call me and they're going to want to list their house or tell somebody about me. So it's important that it's not a script per se. It's just important that you are comfortable talking to people about the real estate market, what you know, and asking them questions. You know, what do you know about the real estate market? Do you understand what's going on? Are you someone who would like to sell your house in the near future? Or do you know, who do you know that might want to sell their house in the near future? And the reason why I'm asking is because we only have 326 houses on the market right now. This
nugget.
Yeah,
That is such a great nugget.
little nugget I plugged in there from the market data sheet, because I'm reading the data sheets, right?
Yep.
So those are the kinds of things that you want to do. And people eat that stuff up. They love it. They want to talk about it.
And Lisa, how about you? In terms of if you're having a conversation with somebody, anything different that you'd like to add to that?
I mean, we're very different people, but we're very similar in that manner. I would
Okay.
say, like both of us, it's like, that's it. You just make sure people know what you are doing. What is your intention right now? Well, my intention is to list houses. As the little girls on my daughter's cheer team said, Miss Lisa makes people homeless. Recently done that to 2 of the families because they sold something before they were really ready to. It went so quick. So, you know, that talk about it. You want that. I want that. I want 8 little 10-year-olds saying that about me and everybody saying, you know, like that's what you want. You want people to talk about what you do and you want to be able to talk about what you do. And again, those little like nuggets of knowledge, the little pieces that you can kind of throw out there at a dinner or it's at a baseball game or cheer competition, so that people remember that, you know, you're always on, you know, and you're always engaged in our market and what's happening in our market and what's going on, so that so that you're able to speak to it.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for your time. I know you guys are so busy, and I'm really glad that you took this opportunity to be here with us and to pour back into our market center and to pour back to lots of agents that are going to watch this all over the place. So thank you very much. It really means a lot. And it speaks to the culture. And I guess my last question will be, what class would you recommend to somebody? Anything that you've taken or anything that's coming up? Profit share, anything that's coming up.
I need to take that one.
Yeah,
I do.
Listen, profit share is definitely the way to go. There's no question. You know, or we do one in the region. Georgia Alpha is our regional director does a profit share class. It's free.
Yeah.
You just log in and you can sit here and learn about those things.
And we got Aaron Kaufman on the 28th.
Oh, shoot, yeah. So you gotta be there for that. Definitely not. Anything that Jay Rivers is teaching
Yeah,
that you
that's a
can
good
get
one.
in, he's
That one. Team one.
Team one.
Yeah.
yeah. Anything he's doing, you need to be in that room. I've learned more from him. When I came to KW and thought I knew what I was doing, and then I realized I didn't know nothing, and I had to relearn everything. You know, Gene was my go-to guy. He's one of my 5 go-to people that literally helped me, you know, stay on track and figure out what, you know, which end is up. So yeah, anything he's teaching, you need to be in that room. You will learn. He's one of the best teachers that I've ever met.
Yeah. And Lisa's someone who was taking classes before she got here. So
Right. And I think that ask questions, you guys. Like, I say to Wiki all the time, I'm like, sorry if I don't sound like I know what I'm talking about, but you guys talk in these like anagrams and like all these.
MREA.
blah,
Wiki,
blah,
what's
blah.
Red
And I'm
Day?
like, you guys, I'm like, Wiki, if I got here in October and I don't know what in the world you're talking about, you've got to ask for clarification. That's huge. So if you don't know, like, what class should I take or how do I take the class, you need to ask. That's what the staff is here to do, to make sure that you know what is out there for you. But I mean, me personally, the one is a really great class, and I feel like I could take it again.
Right.
And then the profit share, I swear to you guys, a couple months ago, a check showed up for me, and I was like, what the heck's this for? I had no idea. I had no idea. I was like, why did I get a check? and like that, that's a problem. So what am I going to do? I'm taking that profit share class so that I can increase that check, because I was pretty excited about it. I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
Don't forget, when I get they say, oh, you got the 100 club, I do. It's getting, you guys are doing a good job. I mean, because like the office is growing and everything is getting really, really interesting right now. What happens though is that on my profit share statement, it's not just Gainesville. I have 20 offices that I get 20 Keller Williams offices that I get profit share from. Because when I'm traveling and doing different things and I'm meeting agents and they're calling me because I'm posting on social media. So what you guys don't know is that when I post about real estate on social media, I get phone calls from people in other industries that are thinking about getting into real estate, and they see me and they have a perception that I'm doing well in real estate. So they call me for my advice, and then I get them with a Keller Williams agent or company in another city, and they join, they put me as their sponsor. Oh, snap, right? So I have 20 Keller Williams offices that I'm aware of that I'm getting profit share from.
He knows what these checks are.
Yeah. So it adds up. It's a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit, but it starts to add up. And then as those people get in and do really well, and then they start, bringing people in, then that comes up under our profit share thing also. And so it just starts to grow on its own. So you need to understand how profit share works. It's not just Gainesville, it's anywhere in the world that Keller Williams is, if you know people that get in. So it's interesting. It's getting interesting right now.
Well, I appreciate the two of you, and it's just another example of how the law of attraction works, not just here locally, because again, we have a great culture here and a great sense of camaraderie, but law of attraction will help you in profit share for years to come. And when we get past this COVID thing and we can actually go to a national convention again, there's so many people in the office that have never been to anything like that. And your Rolodex or your phone is going to blow up.
I literally cannot wait to be into a room with 20,000 people again and be okay. I mean, it's just nothing like it. Nothing like it, really.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. God bless you guys. And I hope that you share this and that we can bless other people's lives and make a lot of people homeless. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Make people homeless. That's the best thing right there.
Funny.
You guys are great.
People homeless.
You guys are great.